Alright guys, we're back staring at my engine bay. And in this video, we're going to be talking about BMW news, the latest updates that we've heard about the G87 M2. I apologize, I know I'm a little bit late in getting this video out there, but real work took priority last week and I wasn't able to jump into my regularly scheduled videos to talk to you guys about this. So some of you have probably heard the news already about the new M2 and the updates that are going to be coming down the line. And in this video, I just kind of wanted to share those details with you and give you my perspective on if it would be worth waiting for, because there are going to be a lot of changes that address issues that people are concerned with regarding the M2 and its performance capability. So BMW finally listened to everybody and is making these updates to their standard cars. So let's go ahead and talk about it, and hopefully you guys find this video useful. Now, as always, for everybody that's new to the channel, I create these videos to help keep you updated on the latest developments in our community, as well as discuss technical topics so that we have a better understanding of how our engines work. So if you're interested in more videos like that, be sure to subscribe because there will be a lot more coming out in the future. So when the G87 came out, a lot of us were excited because this was going to be, kind of the smallest, lightest, best handling S58 platform available. But when we finally saw the car, a lot of us were really disappointed. It didn't really look that good, but I still think it's probably the best looking M car out of the options that we have today. So I think now that the M2 has been out for a few years, one big question people are asking is why we don't see more of them. I personally don't see a lot of them on the roads, and we definitely haven't seen many of them being built and pushed at the track. We see the M3 and M4 breaking new records pretty much every single month, it seems like, but the M2, we just don't really hear a lot about them. And I think there are a couple different reasons for that. One, of course, is the M2 doesn't come with as much power as the M3 and M4. In base form, it only has 453 horsepower, while the M3 and M4 start at 473 horsepower and get all the way up to over 520 horsepower with the newest LCI models. So that's a really big power difference for somebody that just kind of wants to buy and enjoy a car. And then the other thing, of course, is the M2 is available in manual and automatic, but only rear-wheel drive. The M3 and M4 competition models come with an X-Drive option, which again, a lot of people are excited about. Back in the day, X-Drive was the worst thing you could hear about on an M3 and M4. It completely ruined the entire essence of what the car was supposed to be. But now more and more people are pretty much demanding that in the market. They want a car that they can drive year round. And of course, on the street, it gives you a lot more capability to launch the car and keep traction. And with all that in mind, you might be thinking, well, it's still the lightest car. It's the one that's going to be able to go the fastest if you're able to get traction. But in reality, BMW screwed that up too. For example, if you look at the manual version, the M2 weighs 3,814 pounds, while the M3 and the M4 weigh 3,840 and 3,830. And then if you look at the automatic versions, it weighs 3,867 pounds, while the M3 and M4 weigh 3,890 and 3,880. So on average, you're getting about a 25-pound savings to go with the M2, which has less space, less power, and less driven wheels. It's really hard to argue that that's not really the best option for people that just want the most capable car out of the box. Now, also on top of that, X-Drive adds an additional 100 pounds, as we've seen on the M3 and M4 curb weight, which if you're looking for a light chassis to go to the track with, the M2 isn't really the one that you want to add extra weight to. But one thing I've learned over the last several years is you guys don't care about that. You want your X-Drive cars. And so now BMW has finally listened and is going to be rolling out the upgrades that give you what you want. So first of all, we have the current 2025 M2, which is called the LCI model. I think this is probably the laziest LCI I've seen from BMW in a while, but it is their cheapest M car, so it makes sense they're not going to go crazy with it. So I don't see any new headlights, any new taillights, but it does come with some new paint options, as well as some new interior updates with the new iDrive and updated steering wheel and things like that. But the big thing you guys probably care about is it comes standard with more horsepower. They did bump up the horsepower with an additional 20, so it's up to 473 now, which matches much more closely to the base M3 and M4. And you get additional torque in the automatic version, so it gets up to over 440 foot-pounds of torque if you have the automatic transmission. BMW is still leaning back on their theory the manual trans can't handle that much torque, so they don't give it the extra torque. But in reality, we know the automatic's just going to be more capable and handle it better. So it's going to be only in the automatic versions. Now, of course, it is more expensive like usual. They go up, $1,000 or so every year. So it is more expensive than the previous models. But the new colors, I think a lot of people have been really excited about, especially the Sao Paulo yellow. So this definitely would be something I think people will be opting for on the M2. Now, if that's not enough for you, we've got a brand new M2 CS that's going to be coming out. We expect that to be announced next year, and it's going to have over 500 horsepower, estimated at 525 currently. And it's still going to have the same S58 engine. It's still going to be rear-wheel drive, but it will only come with the automatic transmission. Again, I believe that's going to be due to the torque rating, which we haven't seen completely revealed yet. But if it's anything like the new M3 and M4 comp, we can expect it to have a lot of torque, and that's way more than BMW is rating their manual transmissions for. So this is really good news because finally we're going to see an S58 coming from the factory in the M2 with over 500 horsepower, and we'll be able to truly see what the capability of that system is. Now, this will only be for 1 year. Basically, for the 2026 model year, we'll have that M2 CS option. And then in 2027, we're going to see the M2 xDrive come out. Now, I don't anticipate this will have as much power as the CS. We haven't seen horsepower figures yet, but it'll probably be between the base and the CS models. I expect this to kind of be like the F87 M2 competition where they got the S55 engine and gave it more horsepower. In this case, they'll give it more power, but it'll still have the same engine. So probably around the 503 that the M3 and M4 comp come with, maybe a little bit less, but definitely more than the base version we're seeing today. And this is going to be a really big deal, of course, because with the xDrive, you'll be able to launch the car harder. For anybody that wants to unlock it, you'll have that additional capability for tuning to set all of these crazy quarter-mile times that people are, really targeting nowadays. It just seems like it's going to be the best of both worlds for performance. Now, keep in mind, end of production for the M2 is slated for 2029. So basically, we're only going to have this car for about 2 years, and we'll see how much those sales go. But I think they're kind of adopting the same idea for marketing that Toyota is using for the Supra. Sports cars just don't really sell anymore, and especially for a smaller car like the M2, they're trying to implement something new every year to help increase sales and continue driving new customers or getting people out of their leases into new cars. And I think this should work. I mean, the M2 probably isn't going to last after this generation, but it's something that should at least help it last through the expected life cycle through 2029. The xDrive, I think for sure is a need at this point because people are really hesitant to jump into a car with this much power if it doesn't have the grip to support it and if it's not something that they can drive year round. So that should help bolster up sales for the last couple years of production. It also sounds like this could be the discontinuation of the rear wheel drive option completely. So it may only come with xDrive at that point. So just keep that in mind. You have basically the next couple years if you're interested in getting a rear wheel drive version to get your order in so that you can get your M2. But, these cars typically start building the model year the summer before. So we can estimate around the 2026 calendar year, that summer, they'll start building the 2027 M2 xDrive version. So yeah, a lot of big changes, especially for those of you that want to keep your car stock and just kind of enjoy it with a warranty. I know a lot of you guys that are planning on tuning your car and sending your DME out to M2 probably don't care so much about how much power the car comes with, but that xDrive option is going to be something that's really key. Although at this point, we have seen the first M2 getting swapped with xDrive, so I anticipate that'll probably be a more common modification over the next couple years. But it sounds like it requires a lot of coding and a lot of electrical work to get that done, which will probably add to the cost. So I'm curious to see what that looks like when the full kits and everything are for sale. But in the meantime, if you guys are waiting for a factory-equipped xDrive, you only have a couple more years to wait. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helps. And if you guys have any other questions or comments, leave them down below.